Ladies, gentlemen, and operators, welcome to Kaleidoscope and welcome to episode 1 of the ReEntry Retrograde podcast, where we discuss everything reentry, sci fi, modern day, and tactics related. Now, before we start today, as always, remember to like, comment, sub, and share, even dislike if you think that there's something that we can improve on. Drop a comment on it too. Can't make the best content around if we don't get any honest feedback. So, starting off today, I wanted to go through and introduce two of my good friends, Luca and JR.
Hello.
Hey.
Yep. We've been, how long have we been trying to make this happen? Like 6 months or so? Something?
Life happens. And before we get started,
pretty
I had to go on this whole diet thing, which means I can't have pizza till I lose another 20 pounds. So if you want engagement, how about this, dear listener? Torment me by telling me your favorite pizza in the comments, and then I'll read it and hate my life until I lose this 20 pounds.
Yeah, no, if somebody tells me that I can't have pizza until I lose 20 pounds, I'm probably just going to jump off a bridge, more than likely.
Well, also the algorithms favor you when you have engagement in the comments. So
yeah,
that's absolutely engagement farming. But we want indie creations to flourish. So
absolutely.
That's also why you get those ones like, where are you watching from? Could you be a little less obvious? I mean, come on, at least pretend.
No, we gotta post rage bait just so we can farm engagement. It's
Well,
gotta happen.
You misspell things in the comment sections, the grammar Nazis will come out.
Oh, absolutely. Hell,
I've never tested that because the inner English major in me would cringe, so I haven't. But I'm told it works.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. Hell, I've done it.
See, got to respect the hustle, right? So, and if you like it, don't just hit the like button. Tell a friend, tell a dozen friends. Spread the word. That's how people know what to create. That feedback. In addition to whether you like it and how to make it better, it's how to help it find your audience.
Absolutely. Now, let's go through. Let's get a little background going on you guys real quick. Something brief. That way, everybody kind of knows who you are. Luca, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, no problem. I'm still in school. I just turned 18, and I am a absolute nerd when it comes to planes, military, and Halo. You ask me anything about it, you will not be able to escape the room for at least 3 hours.
And I'm JR Handley, a veteran of the late unpleasantness in Mesopotamia. I did 2 tours in Iraq, got wounded, discharged, and I took up writing as therapy. And now people pay me for my pain, and I write mil sci-fi, and I'm branching out into military fantasy and game lit. I just enjoy writing. But I've been a sci-fi nerd since way back. Sci-fi and fantasy. I was the kid who used to mess with the teachers by reading Stephen King in elementary school. Not that I really like it. Horror is not my jam, but I like the reaction I got, from the teachers. Like, how are you reading it? You're only in the 3rd grade. That's why I'm reading it, to get this reaction from you, because I'm a troublemaker.
Speaking of sci-fi, what do you guys think about the current state of that? Kind of as of now, right? Just kind of as a whole, not necessarily just focusing on Star Wars or just focusing on Star Trek, but just in general.
So I will say this, and obviously I stay apolitical for a reason, because nobody was ever convinced on the internet, and I take the Pratchett view of never. No, was it Terry Pratchett, or was it the guy that did the Dresden Files?
I want to say it was Dresden Files,
but he basically, one of the mantras was never preach harder than you can entertain.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to take that for granted, or to quote Michael Jordan when they asked him why he didn't get political, because arguably things were very tense on the racial side of things in the 90s, at least more than they are now. And he said, because white kids buy my shoes too. And so I'm a unrepentant capitalist. So I want everyone's money. So I don't really engage in politics. So I said that to say, given the tension that's going on in the Middle East, the stuff with Iran, the stuff with Israel and Gaza, the Ukraine-Russia war at its end, I've noticed a decline in readership of a lot of the mil sci-fi, because it's not an escape anymore, if that might be your reality, especially as a young man who might be in the draftable category. Yeah. So you're seeing a rise in military fantasy to take its place. But I do think when things calm down, and they almost have to, if you look at the global swings, I do think you'll see a resurgence of mil sci-fi again. I don't know that it's going to be the David Webbers all over again. I think you're getting more of the grittier stuff. Not quite George R. R. Martin level of hopelessness, but I do think you're getting people that want more realism. So you're going to see more of the the Global War on Terror veterans that are breaking into writing.
Hmm.
You've got the Walt Robillard, who does some pretty good stuff. Nick Cole, famously, he didn't fight in the Global War on Terror, but he was in right before it. You've got JR Wise, who's an up and coming guy. I mean, there's just so many. Richard Fox, even he was over there when I was. There's so many mill sci-fi guys that actually served, and there's probably more I'm missing. Those are just the ones I talk to regularly enough they pop to the top of my head.
Yeah.
There's so many more coming up that I think you're going to see a change in the way military culture is portrayed. So I don't think everyone who didn't serve realizes that military culture is a thing, but it's a thing by era. So the military culture that was the Vietnam War was different than it was during the Cold War, which was different than it was pre 9/11, but after the Cold War, and then post 9/11 was a whole other thing. I mean, I got away with levels of disrespect and irreverence as a infantry sergeant that would, had I tried that today or the day before 9/11, would have ended me in a brig somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because competence mattered more than tact in many cases.
Hmm.
And so I do think you're going to see more of that. I also think you're going to see more realism in the interactions. I see some sci-fi where you see some private yelling off to a captain, and I'm like, okay, that could happen. I did see someone cuss out the sergeant major of the army, but I also saw there were consequences for that.
Hmm.
In some cases, you're lucky, and that consequence is wall-to-wall counseling, otherwise known as a beatdown. Other times, it ends in brig time, demotion, discharges, but there are consequences for anyone who gets that froggy. And I think too often people confuse like Star Trek with actual military. That's not how that works. That's not how any of
Hmm.
that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good space opera. I don't even think they pretended to try to be a military other than with like the ranks.
Yeah.
But even civilian, naval vessels use some of those military ranks, the captain, the XO, that kind of thing.
Right.
Um, and then the other part of that is you're not going to see any more of the captain and important personages go down to the away team. Like, no, like the XO is somewhere safe in the middle of the ship, kept separate from the captain, who's also somewhere safe between the command bridge and the secondary command bridge. Because if one dies, you don't want everyone to die at once. And you never have just one way to command a ship. And like you're going to start seeing more of that realism on the Navy side too, as these new global war on terror people make their bones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hell, I mean, when it comes to the whole realism side of things, if and again, and this is something that you guys do know, having known what I wanted to do with this series for such a long time, is that there is definitely more of a focus on realism, especially in regards to the tactics. So it's like you said, we're likely going to start seeing a kind of a shift, for lack of a better term, in realism, with more of these guys that fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, wherever, for the last 25 years roughly. Then it's gonna definitely be pretty interesting, kind of seeing how sci-fi shifts in with that in mind.
I also think you're going to see less Americans, not less of it, but you're going to see more non-Americans getting into the mill sci-fi space and putting their flavor on it. And the British system is different than ours. It's different than the Canadians, although there are similarities. Like you're going to see more flavor, so less lieutenants and a few more lieutenants,
Yeah.
and some of the Commonwealth nations. You're going to see some of that coming as well, especially since some of those nations did have presences in the global war on terror. So you've got combat veterans legitimately out there who potentially break into the space. You're going to see more of the language shift because like the Australians, New Zealanders, or the English, they use O's in places where we just have OR. They would do like OUR. So you're going to see some of that non-traditional to Americanized spelling, which is going to flavor things, I think, as well, because they just have a different culture. I mean, there's similarities throughout the West, but there's also enough differences that it'll add to that alien feel.
Mhm.
And the other part of that is, I think everyone, it's really cool to write the special forces super secret squirrel stuff, and I read it, but you have to accept some loss of realism when you write it and read it because, like true operators, they're going to go in a lot of times quiet, well-oiled machines. They don't have to talk much because they've done it so many times in training together.
Yeah.
But that's not interesting to see a bunch of automatons running around the battlefield, running and gunning, and not saying much. So you
Right.
end up adding more personality. So I do think in the middle sci-fi and the middle fantasy space, you're going to see more of the everyman, which to me is infinitely more fascinating. Like the average guy who rises to the occasion.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Get more of that. What was they said about Gallipoli? They were lions led by sheep. You're going to see more of that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would love to get like a just an entire show or movie, just off the top of my head, of just the perspective of a regular rifleman from Titanfall 2.
Mhm.
Whereas instead of Jack Cooper becoming a pilot, he is just he just goes on. He just observes the big events and does a lot of the hard work. And obviously, we're getting a bit more of that, I feel like, within military media, but we do still need that in the sci-fi genre, because I'm still seeing that like Master Chief level of characters in sci-fi. Still, our main character is the space Jesus, and we kind of want to get a bit more of the regular grunt life
Yeah.
instead of more elevated stuff.
Hmm. No, and it's good that you brought up Titanfall, because that would actually be very interesting, because it's already been established that in war, riflemen were effectively just regular grunts were effectively just cannon fodder, right? Because if a pilot came onto that battlefield, everybody was dying,
Mm.
right? Like if you wanted to kill a pilot, it would basically take a miracle, whether they were in
That's
their
some
Titan or not.
that's some Warhammer level of cannon foddering. I actually, we'll go to the Halo because you said Luca or Arbiter. Yeah.
Yeah, you can call me Luca Arbit or
Okay.
whatever.
Um, One of the things I liked about Halo is you did see some of the everyman. You had the Space Marines. You had on top of that the badass ODST, which are my favorite like
Hmm.
IP within that. I find that Feet First into Hell. I'm just mad I didn't think of it first as far as the logos go,
Oh hell
uh,
yeah.
as mottos go. But like you're going to see more of that, and well, obviously ODST are special forces, but they're not special humans in that they haven't been augmented to be like super tall, super strong,
Yeah.
machines
Hmm.
that sometimes lose their humanity. I think you're going to see more of that. There is room for the grimdark gloriousness that is Warhammer or Titanfall when it comes to the average man, but it's harder for the reader to relate to that as much, and so you're going to lose them on some of the buy-in. I think. I think you're seeing more people want to read about someone that could be them,
Hmm.
Yeah.
which is why, like on the video games, Master Chief never takes his helmet off. It's not because they've got some sort of Mando code going on. It's because the designers, rightly so, knew that you wanted to, as the player, envisioned that you were the Master Chief. And if you were the Master Chief and they took the helmet off and the Master Chief looked nothing like you, if you're black and Master Chief's white, if you're a girl and Master Chief's a dude, like all of those things for some people removes the immersion. So as
Hmm.
long as you keep the mask on, it could be you, right? And that's why the visor isn't see through as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is the relatability, and you're going to see more of the everyman soldier.
Yeah, like I would love to see like a Halo show of, instead of following Spartans, we just follow, for example, a Marine during the Harvest campaign. Like
Hmm.
that would be super cool to see, and actually see how like hard and how
You
actual normal humans saw, like for example, the Covenant, or how a guardsman sees a regular Tyranid.
Hmm.
did you see Forward Unto Dawn?
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
loved Forward Onto Dawn.
First
I
off, the
really
military
liked it.
school like that fit. That seems pretty realistic, and the cadences were like basically modern cadences tweaked to make them fit the Halo world when they're running. Even in the movie, the Warthog is a pain in the ass to drive. Um,
Yeah.
that that
I would
that
still love to own one.
there's a couple people who built one, but theirs are generally more stable and less, fishtaily.
Yeah.
But you see that from the average, rank and file student, the political appointed daughter who's like, let me on the ship. Do you know who daddy is? And then, of course, the minute she gets on there, it blows up. And I'm like, that's what you get, mother effer. But like, you saw some of that, and it was pretty popular with the fandom when it came out. Um,
Oh yeah, I loved it.
I think you're going to see more of that kind of stuff. At least I hope so. Maybe this is wishful thinking, and I'm just projecting what I like.
Oh, it's not. I wouldn't really say it's wishful thinking because if we're just talking about quote unquote media in general, we're already seeing that in games like Arma or Ground Branch, where like the most popular mods out there are the ones where you're just the regular grunt fighting the regular war. Like just in Arma 3, the Halo mods on there, you rarely, if ever, see ops with just full Spartans. You just see Marines, and the way people talk about those are just. It is so much fun, and it is so different from being like a god that is
So,
just like a Spartan.
yeah.
If I was going to tell a story there, I want to be one of the Marines in that. I can't remember the gunny sergeant's name, the black guy with the cigar all the time.
Oh,
Johnson.
Sergeant Johnson.
Yeah, I'd rather like read a story written from his like one of his Joe's POV
Hmm.
because he has some great one-liners. I bet that would be a hell of a fun read.
Oh hell yeah. No,
Um,
I mean, and as for like the whole, seeing things from a almost from a grunt's perspective, even from a even if we just take hey, take Halo, right? Uh, seeing just more of what personally I want to see more ODSTs, but at the same time, what I also want to see is I want to see what other UNSC special operations teams are doing. Uh, Naval Special Warfare is a perfect example, right?
Oni,
Yeah, Oni and Naval Special Warfare, because it's like Naval Special Warfare, at least in canon, as far as as far as I know, is the only UNSC asset that is cleared for Tier 1 missions outside of Spartans. So then that kind of begs the question, how badass are these guys that they're not augmented, they've
that we
never
know
gone
of.
through a Spartan program? How badass are these
Hold
dudes?
up, that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of. But it's like, how badass are these dudes that they're going through and conducting Spartan level missions without Spartans? Like, I want to see how that happens.
I want to see some of the Riverine squadrons that's now part of the Naval Special Warfare
Hmm.
Command. At one point in time, special boat units did, before we were doing a lot of helicopter insertions, they would drop the Zodiac full of SEALs, point A, they'd go to point B, make a whole bunch of noise to distract them,
Hmm.
basically making themselves floating targets as they, zoomed by so the SEALs could sneak back,
Yeah,
somewhere else.
yeah, the
Uh,
SWIC teams.
yeah, well, they were loosely organized before. They're more formalized now, but what that would look like, giving them the smaller craft, sneak and peek type missions, uh, going essentially behind enemy lines, like almost like an airborne troop would have back in the day.
Hmm.
Or in Korea, we had what they called the Wasps, which is basically a gun truck. It was a Jeep with quad mounted 30 millimeter machine guns. And then they just make a whole bunch of noise to, wait a minute, they've got an invasion force over here. Of course, things
Mm.
get complicated when you factor in space as 3 dimensional,
Hmm.
which is something you got to wrap your head around. But there's so much room for expansion of the lore. Hopefully, Bungie and Microsoft and whoever owns all that doesn't mess that up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, hell, if they don't do it, I certainly will.
I mean, obviously, you got to file off serial numbers,
Yeah.
but like, there's three properties in this world that if they ask me to write something for them, I'll stop everything else I'm doing. I'll be like, yes, sir. It's the Fallout franchise because I love it.
Hmm.
It's the Stargate franchise because I love it, and it's the Halo stuff because,
Hmm.
well, I guess a fourth if you're familiar with Primeval,
Yeah.
Oh, I love Primeval.
the dinosaurs and the time rifts.
Hmm.
Like,
Oh, hell
hell's
yeah.
to the yeah, I want a pet raptor.
Hell, if I gotta pick three, and shit, Star Wars, Halo, Galaxy's Edge, like that's I don't even need to think about that.
I've written in Galaxy's Edge. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Galaxy's Edge is fucking awesome. Granted, I need to catch up. I'm uh I'm still basically in the beginning of season 2 for it. Just haven't had the time lately, so I definitely need to catch up because I think they're on like what ass end of season 3 by now.
Yeah, I haven't been following it as religiously as far as the spacing. I see the book, I buy the book, I read the book.
Yeah.
I try not to think much more of that. I've been more into the Wargate stuff they're doing, which is like the military units in fantasy setting, which is like I said, Mil Fantasy's on the rise. Before they were doing Wargate, there was Mark Allen Idleheight who does his Tigers universe,
Hmm.
which is, if I would describe it, it's the missing Ninth Roman Legion smack dab in the middle of Middle Earth. So the
Mhm.
Legion ends up in this fantasy world where dwarves and elves and gnomes and all the things exist. And of course, because the Roman Legion ranks and stuff were very Latin in language, to make it accessible, he modernized it. And I've seen some people in the comments complain that's not the official rank. I'm like, okay, but we've got a lot of cultural drift. You can get away with a lot, and now the average reader knows what the hell you're talking about.
Mhm.
But I like that concept. Destroyer Man, the series. Are you familiar with that one?
I can't say that I am. I don't think I've heard of that one.
I can't remember the guy that wrote it. I've interviewed him too. I apologize if he ever hears about this, but basically the idea is a storm in World War II and a destroyer group gets washed through the squall and ends up in a different version of Earth, where the dinosaur ending event never happened.
Mhm.
So dinosaurs evolved, so lizard type peoples.
Oh shit.
And now you've got World War II destroyers, and the difference between a World War II destroyer crew and a modern one is first off, World War II was probably one of the last wars, maybe Korea, where the average rifleman was using essentially the same rifle that he hunted with at home to fight a war. The difference, for the most part, was the bayonet lug.
Yeah.
Um, and so they had a lot more skills they brought to the game. They were a lot more in touch with things. Like some of the modern cars, for instance, if you don't have the right computer, you can't even try to fix it yourself. So they priced the shade tree mechanic out, but those people had the kind of skills that they could, in theory, rebuild, and it wouldn't be implausible. Whereas if you take a modern, group from the suburbs, even if they're good at their job, like I don't foresee them being able to start a factory to mass produce those M4s or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a lot more believable in the time period he pulled people from, which I think is kind of cool
Mhm.
as a series. So there's a lot of fun in that and seeing what that could do. You could even do that in this universe, open up a wormhole and oops, orcs. I mean, Warhammer has orcs. You could have orcs.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're really gonna do that with this one though.
I'm just
reentry is
saying you
always kind
could.
of
All things
yeah.
are
Oh,
possible in real
absolutely. Oh,
sci-fi.
yeah, we could. But with reentry, the goal has kind of always been to almost show off, like, hey, what could a war look like? 260 years from now or 300 years from now, depending on which series you're actually going to be looking at. But and I think that's kind of also what's going to kind of set us apart from a few of the other franchises that are out there and that are coming out. Um, which does lead me to my next question. What are your guys' thoughts on the current episodes, and which one is your favorite?
I mean, my favorite is episode 1. That
Hmm.
that like building raid and all the comms. I cannot wait to see that animated.
Hmm.
And just the episodes is the world building in the series is top notch, honestly. Like
Hmm.
some real elbow grease has been put into that. And it's just like I don't know, I'm hooked. It's an addiction.
Hmm.
It's my new addiction next to Halo.
Yeah, luckily, that's kind of the sentiment that I've been getting quite a bit. Is that every time I wind up dropping an episode, most people come to me and just immediately ask, "Hey, when the hell is the next one dropping?"
Oh yeah, no, I'm one of those people.
It's a
Like
good problem to have.
from episode 2, like even the shift from like episode 1 to 2 from a straight military, like hard military and tactics environment to a on the run and investigation aspect was done really well, and I really like, again, the world building on all the different companies, the war that's going on, the mystery, for example, the mystery for the chips inside the ghosts.
Hmm.
I really would like to know what happened and how they managed to make the ghosts believe, or English is not Englishing. This is when I wish I knew how to speak French.
Yeah,
Um,
we won't give you shit. Like, English isn't your first language, so I'm not gonna.
Trap, set a trap. There we go. So how they ambush the ghost with the biochip.
Mhm.
Well, the biochip is something that you see in the Clone Wars for Star Wars, for instance, because that's how they executed Order 66.
Yeah.
We actually know, and I don't know if that had happened when you were writing this originally, but Elon Musk did chip a pig and he controlled it remotely with
Mhm.
the microbes. So some of that
Damn.
tech is actually coming up
Yeah.
where it might be possible where, there are already some companies that are chipping their employees' hands to get through, like, scan your badge in, you just scan your hand. I would not work there. I would tell them to pack sand. But I mean, the technology is up and coming, so it's not even outside the realm of infeasible. That's near future
Yeah.
to almost present tense for tech level.
Oh, absolutely.
Although I will admit I cheated. I set up when I listened the queue, so I just played them one after another. So I couldn't tell you where one episode necessarily ended and another began. Normally you would say, well, the commercial at the beginning, but YouTube puts so many commercials in, it's kind of hard to use that as a metric.
Yeah.
And there's no rhyme or reason to where they commercial,
Hmm.
where they insert those. I did like the part about the arms dealer. I think that was what, episode 2 or 3,
Yes, that was
early on.
yeah.
I really dig that. I like some of the thumbnails that you created. I like some of the art in general. Is that 3D? I mean, is that art AI rendered, or is you actually having someone draw it?
So all of that, well, not all of it. So we started using some of our own artwork around 3.5, but pretty much anything that was before episode 4 and 3.5 was mostly stuff that we wound up kind of just set building in SFM, the 3D animation software. And basically we don't necessarily own any of those assets, right? We basically just pulled a bunch of assets, and then from there we just said, okay, hey, look, we want this thing to look like this. So we just kind of built it out. That way we had some kind of visual to go along with it. But we did need something. We didn't just want it to just be straight audio. But in episode 6, however, whenever we do finally drop that, that one is going to be nothing but all of our own artwork, and we're looking at like 30 to 31 pieces for that one. So
Oh.
it's going to be insane. There's going to be a ton of artwork, and basically anything you wind up seeing from an artwork perspective within episode 6, at least from a character perspective, that is going to be what that character looks like. That is going to be their finalized design. Um,
Oh, I can't wait.
yeah, so it's going to be insane. We're gonna be showing off some of the vehicles that are going to be in, showing off what certain uniforms might look like in the universe for Dice. And it's definitely going to be interesting as hell to go through and do that.
Yeah, no, like on the topic of art, I I really dig, like, even though we're gonna end up going into animation, or sorry, you're going to end up going into animation.
Hmm.
I really like how well the art in the audio episodes like fit in, to
Yeah.
the point where I just vividly imagine the scene.
Hmm.
That's how well they fit into the audio.
Yeah. And absolutely, and that is a massive credit to my girl Haven. Obviously she's probably going to be listening to this. She absolutely kills anything I wind up sending her. We actually just got done doing a bit of concept art for Ulari City, which will be on Azrael in episode 6. And she absolutely just kills everything that we wind up working on from an artwork perspective. So does Shane when in regards to characters. Um, and so does Digital Gunsmith whenever we get weapons done. These are, like, I keep saying it every single time. I think I've got the best team in the world, to be working on this series, and it's an absolute pleasure to be working with every single last one of them.
So, what is, once you finish the series as it is, what is your overall goal with it?
So right now, uh, the right now we're working on what I'm kind of calling the snowfall arc, which is Lone Wolf, Snowfall, The Reporter, and which will what will eventually wind up being a potential prequel with Kara's team. Uh, from there, I've already got a bunch of other spin-offs potentially planned out. I want to do one on the Akari Zaibatsu, which there will be more information on that in Act 3, or in Phase 3 for the Road to Snowfall. Um, so I've got a spin off of the Akari Zaibatsu. I want to do one with Imka. I definitely want to do a Black Antler one. My friend Brian and I, we've been talking about doing a spin off with Black Antler that focuses a lot on the PMC side of things and not necessarily just the operators, but that business side where you're seeing how these deals are getting made, where you're seeing like, okay, you're seeing how these contracts are getting formed with these private military companies, and you know, basically the idea with reentry from the beginning was to turn it into its own universe, right? To always have it to where it was always designed to where we could do whatever we wanted to do with it. So if we want to tell a political thriller, similar to like House of Cards, we could do that. If we want to, tell a story about some special operations team, we can do that. Like there's virtually no end to what we can do with the series, and that was always the intention here.
Okay. Are you looking at taking it outside of just the YouTube? We talked in the pre-show about you expanding to like BitChute,
Mhm.
Rumble, and Spotify, which lets you do video as well. Is there any form or any plan for like graphic novel or comics of um, actual books proper?
One day, absolutely. Depending on how big we do, I would love to do a couple of comics someday, maybe a book or a novel. I actually was writing a book on my team, Task Force 83, towards like the ass end of high school. And, I never finished that book, but it's in the same universe as Reentry. But at some point, I would absolutely love to go back through, revisit that. Granted, I would need to rewrite basically the entire thing because it's very, very similar to the Terminal List as it stands now. Thanks a lot, Jack Carr. Love the series, but come on, man. Uh, but no, one day I absolutely want to go through and get a few books, probably get a couple of comics out there. But right now, the main goal is to hopefully just get a partnership with a streaming service. Netflix, Amazon, potentially Rooster Teeth, like I was talking about in the pre-show. Now that they're kind of back up and running, so we'll see what happens there. But once we gain a decent following, I definitely want to be in talks with someone, ideally by the end of the year. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, success breeds success, though. So you want to build on what you've already done to get them to be interested, and that's where potentially um, expanding outward, so you build an audience that makes them want to come to you.
Absolutely, and I think that's where the animations are going to be coming into play. Is that for some reason YouTube's algorithm absolutely loves animations. I'm honestly not sure why, but you drop a solid animation, they spread like wildfire, and whenever we get into dropping some of these animations, um, I think that's really whenever we drop Zero Balance and the two smaller animations that we've got planned that are based off of episode 3 and 1. I think that's absolutely going to be a massive help in terms of just getting our name out there and kind of letting people truly see what reentry is going to be, like from a visual perspective. And there is one other animation that that we have in the pipeline, but I'll bring that up later on.
Well, you
Yeah.
can also break the episodes up to expand your reach to like TikTok and what YouTube Shorts.
Yeah,
Just figure out whatever they need to do, and then just cut like it up into a bunch of posts where like link 1, link 2, link 3, and then
yeah,
it'll catch that audience in bite-sized pieces.
yeah, absolutely. And
Um,
that's
it's a lot
I'm
of work
actually
though to split it up that way. I mean,
oh
that's
yeah,
out video rendering.
oh yeah. No, I've actually been doing that. There's this program that I've been using called Opus Clip. Don't know if you've heard of it or not, but like
I have not.
if you put in a YouTube video, it automatically will split it up. Like it basically, and again, I'm just for context for everybody, right? Typically, I am fundamentally against the use of AI in certain aspects, such as artwork or voice actors. But I will use it for, just kind of workflow purposes. And this, counts to me anyway as workflow. So, but what Opus Clip does is that its AI, it will pretty much ID key parts of that video. So if I put in, let's say, for example, I put in episode 2, right? It'll split that up into certain sections. So you might get I might get a minute long clip of Kara talking with Imka. I might get a minute long clip of Kara bluffing about having a drone overhead, so on and so forth. So it automatically does that. It also automatically puts in subtitles, emojis, so on and so forth. So that way it just kind of cuts out a ton of that editing process. And then all I need to do is just post it.
I was more thinking like if it's we'll say 20 minutes and TikTok's what 3.
Yeah.
So you take the 20-minute episode 1 is now 7 posts.
Mm-hmm.
And they get to watch the entirety through one point after another.
Right.
So that way you get the same people who want to see all of it, but they just use different platforms and bite-sized pieces.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, usually I'm against TikTok because I don't know. It's just, I've never really used it, but no, I'll definitely look into that. I've got a page on there for ReEntry that I occasionally use, but I don't think I posted anything on it for like the last 6 months or whatever. But no, speaking of the existing episodes, where do you guys think that episode 6 is going to go? I definitely want to hear some predictions there. See how close you guys might get.
Now, I'm putting all my chips on the table. I'm putting it all on black. I'm saying Raven was a ghost. 100% he was a ghost. Because there's no way.
What makes you say that?
There is no way someone can ambush or have knowledge of like tier 1, quote unquote tier 1 operators or operators of that level have info, like for example on their biochip, or know what they're gonna do without being a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's either a mole, which there's probably a mole, but I'm saying Raven is he was an ex-ghost.
Yeah, JR, what do you think?
I don't know about that. I definitely maybe this is biased because I like aliens, but I think you're going to bring aliens in.
No, that much I can promise I will not be doing.
Nope, I didn't hear that. What'd you say? You're bringing aliens into season 2?
No, but no, episode 6 I think is going to be special though.
Well, for clarity, on a technical sense, if you go to another planet and there is plant life there, you have found aliens.
Yeah, that is technically alien life forms. Yeah.
So I mean, but I'm thinking more like sci-fi.
Twi'leks.
Yeah, or sci-fi forehead ridge of the week, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you don't have aliens, what are the Space Marines going to fornicate with? I'm just saying, you got to
The stars were made for us to conquer, not for other dudes to conquer.
Well, they're going to conquer the stars and the aliens. I mean, Captain Kirk did it. Why can't Ghosts?
Yeah, no. No, I mean, episode 6 it's going to be a special one though.
The other speculation is I wonder if you're setting up to replenish numbers, some sort of cloning operation, because combat losses are a thing, but you've got certain skill sets. So quick way to get around that is Hugh Howey did it in Long Way Home. Basically, they're raised in a vat, but memories are implanted through them as far as training through virtual reality. Mm-hmm. So they think they've lived a life, but it hasn't. And so you could quickly create badasses that way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, with combat losses, you have to be able to replenish your numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have, some sort of inhibitor chip where if they bulk, they die, and your training is a lot cheaper because it's literally the cost of the genetic material plus the time in the vat with the power and the training. Like, I could see that becoming a quick way to build an army. I mean, Star Wars did it for a reason, right? Like,
yeah.
and they're not even the first one to use
Mhm.
that concept. So yeah, my guess is you're going to end up with some level of cloning, because we were talking in the pre-show about like some of the DARPA tech that's coming out there, and some of the stuff that seems 20 years ago would have seemed like sci-fi is becoming reality, specifically like the smartphone. Or I guess it's been longer than 20 years. I'm showing my age, but like, when I was a kid, keep in mind I was born in the 80s, we didn't have cameras everywhere, so you could get away with being stupid and not get caught. And nowadays, like, you carry the camera in your pocket. So I just feel like some of that tech is gonna show up in the form of like cloning to get these operators quickly out there. And if you could do that, like, you could quickly clone one guy, take his brain, imprint it on all these bodies, you could end up with overnight like hundreds of operators
Mhm.
with that level of
I
training that the base model had.
I would lean more in. I mean, cloning idea has some very strong points, but I would lean more towards the less expensive of, yes, you have like a brain or a, maybe not consciousness, like a brain or training in a hard drive, but instead of putting it into a human, like just to quickly replenish numbers, you put it into like an android or like a robot, like a
Mhm.
Titanfall style,
Yeah.
because then you not just have a stronger body and a more resilient body that doesn't have to deal with stress or fatigue, but you also have a way more responsive uh, soldier, pretty much. Yes, you may not have, like, if it's just a straight robot with the training, you may not have that decision, like split second decision making that you'll have with a human, but you will still have a very effective killing machine. Like,
Yeah.
you could have them as reserves, for example.
Yeah.
Could
I
be.
mean, yeah. I mean, well, I guess we're gonna have to see what happens in six, though. But no, I mean, six is a special one. It's I was working on
So
that script for a year, I believe, somewhere around there.
I
But
think a
it's
bit
definitely the
more.
longest. Yeah, like a year and a half, roughly. Like that's the longest one that it's definitely taken me. Uh, Hell, we're looking at that episode's definitely going to be closer to an hour and 30 minutes whenever we do finally finish it. So that one's going to be split up into three parts, and it's going to be a damn good one. Now, unfortunately, and this is and I have made a post about this already, but I do want to reiterate it here. That way, if everyone has not seen it, uh, unfortunately, I did wind up losing my job a few months back, and that is actively slowing down production of six. So if anyone is wondering why six hasn't dropped yet, that is why. Realistically, right now, I actually wanted to be done with recording for part two, and we were actually supposed to be moving into a ton of the artwork for it, and then from there, ton of the artwork. And this is also, mind you, going to be the first episode with music behind it as well, which will be done by Avery Alexander, who's just going to absolutely kill that soundtrack. I can guarantee it.
so with the music, you got to make sure you don't overpower the. Too many people have the music where the music makes it impossible to hear the dialogue.
Yeah,
So don't do
absolutely.
that. If you're going to use robots, you got to figure out how close to the uncanny valley are they going to go. Are they
Hmm.
going to look like humans? Are they going to look clearly like robots with like robotic Terminator? Well, Terminator under the skin.
Hmm.
Or are they going to be like RoboCop half synthetic? Like, there's a lot of room you could go with to add to the grotesqueness
Hmm.
of the robot. Um, it'd be interesting to see if you go that route. Like, I'd be fascinated to see how that plays out.
Hmm. But yeah, I mean, pretty much once I'm working again,
So you
ton of
mentioned,
catch up to be playing, and then from there, once that's done, uh, we'll be trying to get. I still want to shoot for. Ideally, I want to shoot for late April for a six release date, but not really entirely sure if that's really going to pan out just yet. But we'll see what happens.
so one thing you could do, and we talked about this in the pre-show, and I'll just say that out there because listeners might want to know. Start with just an easy buy me a coffee, let people a tip jar. That might help defray some of the expenses,
Hmm.
and then maybe a Patreon where they get the thing early.
Yeah,
Maybe get some sort of voting rights on some of the plot points. I've seen that done, but let the fans help you out with the cost. There's no reason you couldn't potentially figure out a way to monetize to keep this going. I know
oh
it's a
yeah,
labor of love, but love won't feed you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, and yeah, we like I stated in the first or in episode 0 of the podcast, and was also on the Road to Snowfall. We do definitely have a Patreon planned. And one thing that people will absolutely be getting out of that, if either one of you guys have ever played Black Ops One, if you remember the intel files from there, like those blacked out ones, people will be getting physical copies of those, and depending on what episode it corresponds to, it could be a physical file, it could be audio, um, it could be email, shipping manifests, whatever. So we definitely have some of that planned. Now, initially, what we were going to wind up doing with the Patreon was we were going to have it to where that was going to drop alongside each and every episode. But what I'm going to wind up doing is I'll just kind of have it be in one big package that will correspond with probably the first 5 or 6 episodes, and then just send that out whenever that's up and running.
Have
But
you looked at figuring out how to bundle it together to make it available for view on like a Netflix and Amazon, that kind of thing, or um, maybe like a Kickstarter to crowdfund the graphics?
mhm. uh, well, the files luckily are easy to make. For the most part, it's literally just typing it out, placing the graphics, so on and so forth. Same with the audio files. It's basically the exact same as what we do when it comes to just getting an episode out there. But it's going to be the other stuff, such as helmet cam footage, that's going to be a little bit more difficult to do, because that, like everything else, is going to be completely animated. But in terms of how that might integrate alongside a Netflix or Amazon partnership potentially in the future, that I have not thought about just yet. But for the most part, I want to have that Patreon be active, 100% of the time. That way, it's like if you want to go through and get some more exclusive stuff, such as shirts, patches, those files, so on and so forth. Those will pretty much always be available through that.
You could even have very generous, like people that have given very generous donations, have like a small voice role in like
Oh,
a
absolutely.
crowd or.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something that I had planned out for a while. It's going to be in one of the higher tiers for sure. But it's either going to be Ghost or Ascendant tier whenever I wind up eventually implementing that tier. Those, you're going to be able to have the ability to potentially have your own character in the show. Now, granted, we are going to wind up handling cameos very similarly to how Black Powder Red Earth does it. So if you have a cameo, your character's probably going to wind up dying inside of 5 minutes. But
Hell yeah. That's an
but at the
acceptable
very
way to
least,
go.
yeah, but at the very least, like, hey, you get to say, hey, look, I'm in this series. I die inside of 2 minutes, but I'm in it. No, but so you know, next question, that I got. Now, where do you guys think that this series is going to go in the future, right? And what you guys think that it already does differently than others in the sci-fi space?
Now, what I'm like, it's very easy to make a comparison. Like, I would say, in my opinion, one of the best sort of realistic military sci-fi media out there is Halo, right? It's like the big thing. And but it's that still has a lot of sci-fi elements like the Forerunners and the Covenant.
Yeah,
What I'm really liking about Reentry and hoping for the future is that it stays a lot more grounded to today's technology or like very possible technology. Like we still this can this can be made tomorrow type
right.
stuff, and not go too much into the bombastic and stay into the realistic tactics and comms. That is what I really liked about the series, especially episode 1.
Hmm.
The tactics and the especially the comms. You do not get that level of comms in a sci-fi series like ever. You would have to go to watch SEAL Team to get that level of realism.
Yeah,
And I hope it really they like it really emphasizes it. You guys really emphasize it when you start animating,
Hmm.
because like yeah, like realistic military tactics are starting to break through media again. Like I said, like with SEAL Team or Lioness, but we still like the general public, you could say, or most people still have that Halo or Star Wars or Star Trek uh, image when they think of sci-fi militaries. Whereas I'm hoping Reentry can kind of almost merge the two genres together, have a realistic sci-fi military setting, and it not be like unbelievable, like not hold up the expectations of the viewer too much,
Right.
because that's what a lot of sci-fi does. They have maybe one or two like super sci-fi elements that like are unbelievable, and they suspend the disbelief of the viewer. As I didn't really get any of that with the reentry.
Hmm.
When I listened to it all, I was genuinely thinking, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Like that can be in the future. Obviously, we haven't gotten to spaceships and all to that level, but it's on the way.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just need to like, get past Type One civilization.
Hmm. Absolutely. JR.
No, I think what he's onto something, but I mean, it's hard to be surprised once things happen because if you read enough, you've seen just about everything under the sun.
Yeah.
But what makes it, I think, unique is that it's just got your, I say voice in the ethereal sense, in the your style on top of it, as opposed to actually your voice, which also is in there. But
Yeah.
so I think that's what makes it unique, and everybody's story is unique unless they're actively trying to sound like someone else, which can happen.
Hmm.
So I'm just more curious about getting that out there for you, which is why I was suggesting some of the crowdfunding tip jar kind of thing. Because I mean, if you're having to fund this all yourself, this might be your lifetime project, and that's hard to build momentum.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
As a close friend of Brandon's here's, I can attest put he has sacrificed many wallets for this series. So many wallets. So getting that tip jar, getting that extra push from the outside is really gonna push this series past its
So,
past the
what
stratosphere.
do you
Hmm.
track your expenses? Like you can say it costs X dollars to make each episode.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Because I kind of have to. Since I'm still doing all of this technically under the banner of my company, Void Edge Productions, I can write all of this off on taxes, which is absolutely a massive help. But, again, because of the fact that, I'm only still going to get X amount of dollars back from it, plus, again, the fact that I'm the only one that's actually funding it, it is still extremely difficult. And there are times when, I have absolutely had to choose between, okay, do I want to eat today or do I want to finally pay for this episode? And it's like 9 times out of 10, unless I'm really hungry, I will pay for the episode. So it's definitely rough at times, but if I'm honest, I wouldn't have it any other way. I love working on this shit, and
But
it's
you didn't answer the question: how much are you paying per episode? So if people want
how
to know,
much we're looking at. So it mostly depends on the episode.
$5,000.
Absolutely not.
you can't do the pinky and be like $1 million.
$1 million. Yeah, no, no, we're not doing. It's not that bad. But it mostly depends on the episode, though, right? It depends on how much artwork we've got. It depends on how long, how much certain characters are speaking. But if I had to put a ballpark on it, I'm usually looking at anywhere from. It usually ranges anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 per episode. Artwork is a whole other ball game. That kind of comes with its own costs. Whether that's for weapons, environments, gear, so on and so forth. Um, and then as we kind of move into beginning to get 3D models done and such, 3D modeling, again, that is not cheap for anybody that's actually kind of worked in that industry or knows anything about it. 3D modeling is not cheap. Getting getting rigs for 3D characters is not cheap. And once we actually do get into the animation stage, everything is going to be motion captured. So at some point, I will be picking up a Rococo motion capture suit, and I think that's like 3K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm not gonna like sit here and just say like act like I know how like expensive this is because I'm not producing my own show, at least not yet.
Hmm.
And but if we take all of the shows that we've like mentioned, like Halo or even Star Wars, they all started from a extremely low point. But
Hmm.
it was just that it was that love, that passion that the creators had for it that propelled them to the giants that they are today. And I'm a genuine believer I'm going to be seeing a reentry movie in about 10 to 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. Like how we basically already have a couple of props for it anyway. So I mean, hell yeah, that's Granted, though, I have no idea who would play who or even what it would be about. But if I wound up doing a Snowfall live action movie, somebody get me in touch with Alexandra Daddario because she can absolutely play Sarah.
Why don't you look at Dust? Are you familiar with the YouTube channel?
I believe so. I think I've heard of
They
it.
do a bunch of indie short sci-fi and fantasy. Maybe you can collaborate with a an episode or something. I don't know how that works for them, but small, 20 minutes or less kind of movies, you might be able to get a small episode, maybe
Yeah.
just a tidbit. But I mean, there are companies out there. You just gotta build enough following that it's worth it to them, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah, I just actually just looked them up. Yeah, no, I've seen a few of their I've seen a bit of their content before. Yeah, no, everything that I've seen from them looks awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, you gotta one let your imagination be the limit, but also you gotta realistically temper expectations, which is why I wondered if like writing some books in this space might help you get that out there. It's a lot less overhead to publish a book than it
Oh,
sounds like
absolutely.
these episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
You know,
need a
if
way to
I've,
fund the dream, is what I'm
yeah,
saying.
absolutely. I've had a few people actually recommend that I just take the existing scripts and just pretty much just throw it all into a novel. I mean, which could potentially work. So that's been something I have been considering. But we'll see what happens though. Because if I do write a book, I'm every piece of media within the series, I'm definitely wanting to kind of be. I don't necessarily want to say self-contained because I don't think that's really the right phrasing. But I definitely want it to be to where it's like it belongs to something specific, if that makes sense, right? So just like
Mm.
how Lone Wolf, Snowfall, and the Reporter are all going to wind up basically being a part of the Snowfall arc. Um, if I wind up writing a book, it would likely be a part of something else, and so on and so forth. But it definitely depends on what kind of story we eventually decide that we might want to wind up telling. Um, so I mean that's kind of something to consider though. But I absolutely want to go through and publish a book at some point, whether it's the TF-83 book that I was talking about earlier, because that's just effectively a prequel to everything, right? It shows how the 83 started and how the ghosts started in in the global war on terror, and then eventually it evolves into what it becomes by the time Kara is running around with her team.
Yeah, like a book about reentry is it's bound to sell. It's gonna be an amazing series, but the the particularity about reentry is that it is also the perfect series to adapt to a screen, to
Mhm.
actually watch, not just read and imagine, but actually watch these characters interact, watch the ghosts run through this building, watch them get ambushed, watch Kara make this arms deal,
Mhm.
actually seeing, because like the general, I'm not gonna act like I'm a reader because I do not read much. The The
You can
most
read?
I've read, yeah, okay. The most I've read are the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, so I'm not exactly a reader,
Mm-hmm.
but that level of storytelling is perfect for a show because, like, the general quote unquote, the general public is more attached by something they can actually see, by the
Right.
reactions they can see.
Mm-hmm.
Because the differences between a show and a book is that in a book, most of the time, the emotions and the reactions are just read out. You're imagining it, and you already know, oh, she's feeling this, she's feeling that. Whereas you get a lot more, um, you get a lot more not input, responsiveness from a viewer that sees Kara, like he sees her little twitches, her little telltales that, for example, she's bluffing about the drone up ahead, or that
Mm-hmm.
you can see the shock in her eyes as her entire team gets gunned down,
Mm-hmm.
or you can see her emotions in the ship where she starts to think about what she is or what she's gonna be since she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have a team anymore. Is she a ghost? In a book, it's like, yeah, you can read through all that and it's still captivating, but it's a lot more uh captivate. I don't want to reuse the same word. It's a lot more captivating to a viewer seeing her go through all that and
Absolutely.
maybe even imagining themselves in that situations, like they're replacing themselves with this, or even connecting to a deeper level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of been one of the challenges, with this series is that, it's easy to have a character tell you, what their emotions are, right? But it's like when you cannot physically see their actions, it does make things a tad harder. Not to the point where it's impossible, but maintaining Kara's mentality in regards to everything and kind of really showing that off effectively has certainly been a challenge. Uh,
Mm.
which I think now, over time, now that I'm, about 6 episodes deep, it's certainly a little easier to do. And, six, you're definitely going to, like, I'm not going to say much about six, but I will say that this is going to be the first episode where you are going to see her well and truly pissed off, like genuinely angry. Like, yes, she's been angry before, but her voice never really, showed that. But in episode six, six is going to be insane. There's a lot going on in there, not just from a plot perspective, because there is absolutely going to be some major reveals in six, because this is effectively serving as our almost, for lack of a better term, it's a season finale if we really want to think about it.
Mm.
Um, but there's a lot there that's going to be revealed in terms of plot. In terms of there's a lot of fights going on there. A lot of emotions are going to be kind of thrown around, and it's going to be an insane episode whenever I finally do get it to drop. And
Mm.
I maintain that it's the probably the best thing that I've ever written in the 26 years that I've been alive. So it's gonna be insane.
Well,
And
I hope it better be the best thing I've read, not read, I've
listen to, yeah.
listened to in the 18 years of my life. Then,
Oh no, I think it will be. Like it's gonna be a damn good episode, I think.
but
It's just,
like,
again, it's been a massive labor of love though.
yeah, but like that's another thing. In a just a quickly reinforce what I was saying earlier. Like in a book, you can have someone be pissed off,
Hmm.
but you're not gonna really understand the severity of it because you're just reading the words.
Hmm.
You're reading it with your inside voice, whereas an audio show or a fully animated or live action show, you can see that just that light switch of them completely going off on someone, or completely losing it and just forgetting everything and being dead focused on something.
Right.
Like the thing that comes to mind is Astartes, how, like, with the amount of books that have come out for Warhammer, people have gotten a general idea of how Space Marines operate and all that, but Astartes really showed that level, that just Space Marines are on a completely different level from anyone,
Mhm.
right? That's what I would love to see from Reentry. Just seeing the ghosts be on a completely different level from just either regular dudes or even tier one operators.
Yeah, and that's actually something that we are going to wind up getting into with you know what, actually I'll go through and actually talking about that now, just for the hell of it. So we are actually working on another episode, another completely animated episode that we have not actually shown off yet, or not talked about yet. I dropped a teaser about it a couple months back on my on our Instagram, but that was really about it. But that one is going to be episode zero. Episode zero is going to be called Black Ink. I cannot say anything in regards to plot. However, what I can say is that it will be a prequel episode, kind of showing off what Kara's team might have been doing before, the ambush in episode one. So, with this particular episode, it kind of aims to do, something similar to Zero Balance in that it is still kind of serving as a proof of concept. But what it also does is that it shows how good the ghosts were and how good they still are. So then it kind of will begin to raise some questions as to, like, okay, damn, how good, like, they're this good and they managed to get killed. It's like, yeah. But episode zero, you're going to see just how good the ghosts were. You're going to see them flowing through houses, getting into engagements, and they're going to be doing so with an efficiency that other units couldn't even dream of, right? Um, the way that I've kind of described it to, a few of the people that are going to be helping us out with the animation is that, for those of you that are paramilitary, that are into special operations, so on and so forth, if I had to describe it, it's effectively going to be the difference between a just a regular line unit, in the infantry, up against, let's say, CAG, right? So there is definitely going to be a massive difference there, except that with the ghosts, it's CAG and the ghosts are two completely different planes of operating. Um, like, we've all probably, like, a lot of us have seen the Delta CQB videos, right? That's slow motion for the ghost, right? And that has to
Yeah.
tell. But that's slow motion for the ghosts. The ghosts moving through CQB, it's just you blink and you're dead. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's like the
need
difference
to.
between a just a kitchen knife and a obsidian scalpel.
Mhm.
Just completely two different planes of existence.
Absolutely. So it's gonna be insane whenever we do get this episode out. Um, I genuinely cannot wait to go through and start working on that one because, again, it's gonna be completely motion captured. Uh, and it also kind of gives me and my guys an excuse to kind of beat up on each other for a little bit. But it's gonna be a fun one though. It's gonna be badass. But
Oh,
with
I
that
can't
being
wait.
said, while we're kind of on the topic of tactics and so on and so forth, you know, um, my next question would be, what do you guys look for, in regards to military and tactics realism in media, primarily sci-fi, from both a civilian and a military perspective?
No, civvy perspective talking. I want I want to see, like, mainly just three things from military media, whether they be sci-fi or just in, especially sci-fi actually. First, I don't want some plasma laser thingamajig just shooting and not it really being explained, right? Because
Hmm.
that is still very expensive technology.
Right.
Theoretically, it is still, we can still build it, but to have it at a mass produced level is just, I don't believe it. I still believe we're going to be using 762 by 39 in 2020, in 2222.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I want more of that trust between operators, because I'm seeing in because in modern military media, it's very easy to portray because you just have people trained together, and they develop that bond, right?
Mm-hmm.
That brotherhood, as it said. But in sci-fi, military sci-fi, you just don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more individual, whether it be just with humans or even with aliens. You don't get that same amount of trust, that same, you look forward, I look behind us, we trust each other, right? You
Right.
don't get that invisible thread between two operators. I would love to see more of that, and some more realistic comms.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I don't want to hear none of that, like, copy, yes sir. I want more realistic, just in general, more realistic comms. Now, I'm not military, so I don't know exactly. I may not know what I'm talking about, but I would think that in the military, you would not be calling your superior sir whilst you're in a firefight. You would
Mm-hmm.
just you'd be focusing on the firefight, and focusing on getting everyone safe, keeping everyone alive, and focusing on killing whoever's shooting at you, and not, oh no, my rank is a sergeant, you're supposed to call me sergeant and not sir.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get more of that in sci-fi.
Yeah.
And that's where we talked about in the beginning about the global war on terror coming in, because we did the call signs at one point in time. It was just the pilots, right? And then everyone sort of got their Hollywood call sign, which is generally just a nickname that sticks with you. You would see more of that than particular, whether it's the official call sign versus a nickname. You're going to see that on the radio. And protocol is something they beat into your head from AIT. So you're right. You wouldn't see that.
Right. Oh, I
But
mean,
you do it because you want to. It's the same reason the actors take their helmets off, even though in battle they'd probably be wearing one. Why? Because you want to see the actor you paid for. You want to see the person who's your character, and it's hard to do that if they're buttoned up. You can't read their body language. You can't read, like, I get why from a storytelling point of view people do it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's always kind of irritated the hell out of me, right? It's like, you're wearing a helmet for a reason. Like you are in a gunfight. Put the helmet back on. Like, what the hell are you doing?
There's some famous scenes, and I think one of the World War II movies showed it. I don't know if it was Thin Red Line or whether it was Band of Brothers, but there's been a couple instances during that war where people got shot in the head and it hit the helmet, and they take the helmet off to look at it, and then the next round hits them in the skull.
Yep.
I mean, that's perfect illustration of what helmets are for.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, realism, that's one of those places where you can balance it. That's where, like, clear visors or something, so you can see the body language come in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I think that, like, because again, a lot of even in Hollywood, a lot of times, they'll sit there and say like, oh, we can't, oh, it's hard to show emotion with a helmet on, right? If we take the Halo show for example, that was their excuse for having Master Chief without his helmet on.
You're giving me
You know,
PTSD.
like that was their excuse, for not having Master Chief with his helmet on like 90% of the time, and it was like you can show emotion with a mask on.
That's
You
what the
know,
games did for 3 to 4, like, for 10 years. They
right.
never had his helmet where you could still read his emotions.
It's like, yeah, that's where body language comes in. It's like, look, if Din Djarin, can do it in The Mandalorian, you can do it as Master Chief. It should not be rocket science.
Yep.
And yet they fucked it up.
Yeah, you know, hell, you guys heard about Netflix actually buying Halo, right?
Oh, I thought Paramount
Yeah.
owned it.
They did initially, but after it went off the air, and basically got canceled, Netflix actually bought it a few weeks ago.
I did not hear that.
Yeah,
No,
so I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. I don't think they're going to reboot it, but if they do,
they have
hell,
to.
yeah,
Just
they kind of have to.
I erase whatever Paramount did with it, please.
Just retcon it
It's
somehow.
it's no. There's so much. I'm not gonna start going off about it, but there's so much bad stuff from it.
hmm
But at the same time, I'm not a super Netflix fan, so I'm kind of hesitant of what they're gonna do with it because
hmm
they can either go the safe route. I want them to go the not safe route. Make us follow an ODST as a Marine, even fuck it, a Forerunner, a Covenant leader.
Yeah,
Just do something new with the franchise. Because yes, even if the Halo show was good, it was still gonna be more of the same stuff. Master Chief kicking ass against the Covenant. I want to
mhm,
see something different. I
yeah.
want to see more Flood mainly.
Oh, absolutely. I've been saying that for years, right? Like even the second that they announced that they were doing a Halo show, like the second that they said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have it be following Master Chief," I was like, "Why?" There are plenty of other characters that you can be going through and doing something with. I remember. I think it was me, you, and a few of the other guys from the team the other day that we were just talking about. Like, if they would have done, let's say, for example, Noble Team, like the first Noble Team, not
Oh yeah,
because again we know for a fact that Kat and Carter are the only two original members, and then everybody else has been replaced at least 4 times or something stupid like that. So, go back through, show what the original Noble team was like. Like you said, follow an ODST element, do something else. But I never thought that following Master Chief was the right way to go with that series.
yeah, no, especially not on a different timeline, different reality. That's just
hmm
that is should not be in Halo. Fuck it,
Absolutely.
make them follow Grey Team on
hmm
their deep into enemy lines mission where they blew up a planet and somehow aren't considered hyper lethal Spartans.
hmm Yeah, it's like hell. Bring back Dare. Let's see what she was doing. Aside from working with Alpha 9. There's a bunch of characters that could potentially be used here, but they just aren't.
And even if the writers want to be lazy, they can just take stories from the books because the books are amazing.
Yeah.
If we even want to be technical, Halo is a book series and a game series second. But
hmm
yeah, like that's for example what people loved. Like on the topic of like doing something different, that's what people loved about Clone Wars, right?
hmm
You were yes, you still followed the Jedi, and you still had that the Force and the Sith and all that. But the main story was just you following a bunch of clones,
hmm
literal cannon fodder through this war,
hmm
and they still managed to make us feel for them and actually show us how fleeting their life could be.
hmm
Like Waxer, for example, he was a fairly what you call it
He was
fairly
a
beloved character, right?
yeah.
And just a random episode they kill him, he's
hmm
dead. Same thing for a lot of 501st guys we see, like the medics.
hmm
We love them, we follow them, and then they die. That's
Right.
maybe not that grim of a reality, but that's what I want to see from sci-fi media. I don't
Absolutely.
I don't want to follow um like yes, I would love to follow this special operator, but not a superhuman, not a augmented guy or not a immortal, just a regular guy that has either been put through intense ass training to
hmm
be at the level where he is, but still show that he's human and that he makes mistakes, or just follow a regular. You could even adapt the Vietnam War for
hmm
sci-fi. Make them be conscripted, forced to serve, and
Right.
see how they deal with like an intergalactic war. Because
hmm
there's so much to see between that. Because a lot of sci-fi does uh, alien versus humans, but there is still that it doesn't hit as hard as us killing each other, right?
Yeah.
In a brutish way of saying it, because again, I'm not military, so I don't know how it feels, but from people I've talked to, it 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 changes you. It fundamentally changes you when you kill someone, when you kill another human being, right?
Hmm.
Because he had a life, he had people they love, and adapting that to space where it would I would say it would be even more fleeting because not just us killing each other can happen, but asteroids, black holes, a lot more environmental problems would
Hmm.
occur. I want to see more of that too.
Yeah. And to kind of play off of, what you were saying in regards to, having somebody that works their way up, that, you're showing off more of that emotional side of things, you know, um, counter to that would be, yeah, let's see that, that augmented, soldier. Let's see that absolute special operations badass, but let's still portray them as a human, right? Have them go through, trials and tribulations that they wouldn't wish on anyone, right? Have them going through shit that break them out of that, strong, silent type a little bit. Portray that they've got people that they care about. They have moral quandaries that they've got to go through and deal with, while in fights and while out of them. Doing that, I think, is a damn good way to go through and, and almost humanize a lot more of these characters.
Mm. Oh yeah, I agree.
Oh, man. All right. Okay. Damn, we've already been doing this for roughly an hour and 20.
Yeah.
But last question for you guys, and
Well,
then
so
we'll,
real quick, when you talk about the humanizing, that's why one of the
yeah,
things
go
you
ahead.
can do if you took it into like print or comic,
Mm-hmm.
graphic novel, is you can show some of that internal dialogue
Mm-hmm.
that you can't necessarily do from an external facing. You're not in the guy's head.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say that I think the success for you is going to be getting across multiple um, platforms and then create a sales funnel that sort of circles the, I don't want to say circles the drain because that's negative implications, but like the book tells part of the story. You want to know more, go read the read the comic or watch the YouTube Rumble whatever video, but they all stand alone as well, so you can kind of build audiences
Mm-hmm.
and then you build the IP that way, the intellectual property, the franchise, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, once we start getting into, more phase 2 and phase 3, I think that's where we're going to start seeing a little more of that, because it's like, because the reporter is going to run alongside the back half of Lone Wolf, so you're basically going to have to listen to that. And that can, for the most part, be its own self-contained story, but it still plays into what Kara is doing in Act 2. Um, so that's basically going to be required listening. And then, if you really want the full story, then you're going to have to watch episode 0, Black Ink, whenever that drops. And
Can't
then,
wait.
and then also Snowfall, whenever we start watching that, or whenever we start working on that. And it's like all of this is going to play into one another, right? There are certain plot points here that may not pay off for years, right? But when they do, a switch is going to flip in people's heads where it's just going to be like, holy shit, this is a hell of a lot deeper than I thought it was. Like, because for now, right, it might seem very like a surface level revenge story, but I will say, for those of you that's been following me on Instagram and Facebook, uh, you guys have seen the revenge isn't simple tagline that I've been dropping, over and over again for the better part of a few months now. And just to say, I'm not doing that for no reason. Revenge is not simple, and this is going to be a hell of a lot deeper than what you think it is. So a lot of things are going to get revealed in episode 6, but you're still going to have a ton of questions that are going to need to be answered. But that being said, last question that I've got for you guys is, out of everything that is on that roadmap on the road to Snowfall, what do you guys think you're most excited for?
Yes, absolutely everything. This, I mean, I'm already I was already hooked on the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing that there's gonna be animation and again, revenge is not simple. That it's you're kind of leading me to false expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're making me think that it's just a clear-cut revenge story, or that it's I'm expecting things, right? Or like it's gonna be cliche. That makes me want to watch more. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see absolutely everything,
Yeah.
and I damn as hell am excited for episode 0 and episode 6.
Mm-hmm. And Jr., what would you pick that you're most excited for out of the out of that roadmap there?
Just another look in your twisted, dark, turbulent mind. I mean, eventually your therapist is going to watch this though, and you're going to be in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes I gotta sit there and look back at what I'm writing, and I'm gonna be like, "Damn, am I okay?" I'm
Yeah,
just
this
gonna,
guy makes his therapist curl up in a ball and call another therapist.
yeah,
That's
my
the
nerve.
thing. Therapists have other therapists.
They have to at this
Who
point.
was the first one?
All right.
Ooh,
But yeah, no. If I gotta
Actually,
if I'm picking one, I think I'm most excited for that premiere. I know it's definitely years out, but getting everybody that ever worked on the series out there in any capacity, you guys included, it's gonna be insane. Having everyone there, all the VAs, every artist, anybody that might have helped out with storylines at any point in time, it's going to be absolutely insane having everyone there, and it's also going to be plus twos for everyone. So it's definitely going to be a crowd. It's going to be insane, being able to show that episode off to everyone, and just have everybody be in the room where that labor of love that we've been doing for years is going to finally wind up paying off, and everybody gets to see what that vision was from the beginning. And it's going to be insane because that last episode is going to be completely animated, and it will
oh, I
will
can't
be
wait to be flown
directly.
out to the U.S.
Oh yeah, no, you're definitely getting flown out. Hell, your mom and whoever else that you might want to go through and bring. um but it's going to be insane, dude. It's that last episode is definitely going to be something special. And I basically have a blank, like, I have a blank first page of that final script. And sometimes I'll just go back and look at it and just kind of use that as motivation and be like, that's what I'm working towards. Let's get there, but not rush it. And it's that last one is it's gonna be a hell of a ride in between now and then, though.
Yeah, no. As someone that knows you, uh, as someone that knows you, and as your friend, I can definitely see. Like, I've definitely seen not just how much you love this series, but how much you've actually put into it, and I am genuinely happy to see Reentry start taking off. I am excited as hell for that.
Yeah, man. I mean, hell, you've been here since I've started working on the series. Actually,
Yeah, I remember. I remember the first few stressful days right before and right after releasing episode 1.
dude, that one was rough. Jesus, man. Like, oh god, like, I love episode one, I really do. But god damn, if I never want to work on that one again. Like, I
Yeah,
had to push that one back, I think, 3 different times.
I remember. Yeah.
Like, and then it just eventually got to a point where I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm releasing it on my birthday. That'll be perfect. Let's just do that and just stick with it.
Yeah, and that's also something that like I've seen you change, whereas in the first 2 episodes you were stressed as hell to
Hmm.
get them to actually release them, whereas now you're a lot more confident about them.
Yeah. Like now, it's literally just, you know. now for me, it's just, imposter syndrome, right? It's like, is this good enough? Is this, going to do what I need it to do? And then I drop the episode, and then I, with my with the sponsorship that I'm doing with my boy Ushaya, shout out to him too. Cracked. I'll drop the link to his channel below. With him helping me out, it's that absolutely helps me out. And whenever I wind up beginning to see that these episodes are getting north of 1,000 views, I'm like, holy shit, okay, maybe it is good. Because I don't think we've had a single dislike, not one yet. Now, that's not a challenge to whoever is listening to go out and dislike one just to screw me over. But I don't think we've had a single dislike yet, and it's I'm hoping to keep it that way. But like I always say, if there is something that you guys do think we can improve on, do so. Just let me know, so that way we can continue to make this better than what we do. But I think that's about it for today. Thank you guys for coming on. I know we've been trying to make this happen for.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we've been trying to make this happen for fucking 6 months or something by now.
Absolutely.
Since last year.
Shut up! Oh my god. But yeah, no. Thanks for coming on. Solid conversation though.
Absolutely.
All right, now, as always, guys, remember, like, comment, sub, drop comments. Even if you don't like it, shoot me a message. If you think that there's something we can improve on, let us know. I cannot make the best series possible unless I have honest feedback. I don't want to just surround myself with yes men. I want to have people that are going to tell me objectively, like, hey, is this good? Is this bad? But this is going to be a damn good series, though. But again, thank you guys for coming on. Go and follow JR Handley at the Blasters and Blades podcast. They are on, what episode are you guys on right now? I know you're in the 500s now, aren't you?
We just released 524, I believe.
Jesus.
Damn.
I don't know if we're ever going to get that high, but hell.
And then we had, before we were Blasters and Blades, we were Sci-Fi Shenanigans. That was another 194 episodes.
Damn. Yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to get that high, but, that's the goal to shoot for. But, like I said, as always, remember, like, comment, sub, do whatever. Help us out. And, be on the lookout for a potential Buy Me a Coffee link here soon. We might be actually going there and dropping one of those. But, for now, this has been episode 1 of the ReEntry Retrograde podcast. Thank you for listening. And look out for episode 6.